That's it. Hi, Emily. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks. Well, thank you very much. Emily is from Mikeysline, a very renowned mental health charity in the Highlands. And today we're going to talk a bit about what impacts trolling and online abuse can have on people's mental health. So, yeah, could you maybe tell us a bit more about what you've seen about this phenomenon through Mikeysline?
Okay, so Mikeysline is a local Highland-based suicide prevention and mental health charity. And our view on trolling and cyberbullying is that it can have a devastating impact on people's personal mental health. It can impact on we'll say a victim's everyday life, causing constant worry, causing harm and distress, and can lead to lower self-esteem, disrupted sleep, depression, self-harm, and suicidal thoughts. In extreme cases, it can also lead to suicide. And we've supported a number of people over the years who've experienced some form of bullying, be it cyber or otherwise, that have impacted on their feelings of self-worth, confidence, and their mental well-being, and on the life choices they've gone on to make as a result of that. So people come to us for support for many issues, and sometimes cyberbullying may have been the start of something that becomes a lot bigger. So we would always encourage anyone what to do if you've been trolled online is to seek support as soon as possible, as soon as any issue becomes a concern or distress for you. And Mikeysline can offer support and also help signpost you to others as appropriate.
Well, definitely. And you mentioned that it can be, again, the start of more severe things. So, as again, maybe sometimes it can be dismissed a bit as something that is just happened online and it's not important. But let's say that maybe it's a tiny stone and then can actually give way to an avalanche. Is that correct?
Yes, I think so, because people often don't know how to deal with it, and responding sometimes is not the best way, because people that do troll online, they're actually they're not looking to have a discussion often. They actually want to make an impact. They want to cause an emotion, and so that can take a big emotional toll on the person, and they just don't know what to do with that. So that impacts on their mental well-being. It can be a hugely negative thing, personally, or people might perceive to their own business if it was done through their business accounts. So it can be the start of someone losing their confidence, feeling depressed, feeling bullied, and all of those things go on if not dealt with at the time to become more significant for the person and could lead to them having more significant mental health issues, stress-related illnesses, as I said, and in extreme cases, people have considered taking their lives or committed suicide. We've heard about some articles in the press where that has happened, especially with younger people, where they feel that they've been bullied constantly online. And as I say, a lot of that's to do with people don't know what to do with it. They don't know where to go for support, and it can just carry on and get worse. And sadly, the people that do troll, some of them don't actually appreciate just the impact it can have on people, and the impact that they're having on the individual. Others see it as just a bit of fun, and they don't see that they're doing anything wrong, but it can quickly get out of hand, and that's the issue, and impacting on people's personal lives and their mental well-being.
And is it something that you see quite often in the Highlands? Is it something that you come across your users quite often?
I think I would say that we've supported a number of people over the years who have, from some form or other, experienced bullying. And it could be online. I think there's a growing trend for it to be online, and particularly for young people, there's a growing trend. And I think with the recent lockdowns, I can only imagine that this whole situation would have become bigger, because people really have only had the online forums to communicate, and online social media accounts to communicate. So I actually think we could see that this has become a much bigger issue and something that will become to the forefront in the months to come. I think in terms of the Highlands and living in the Highlands, people often live in quite isolated places in the Highlands, and they may think in particular that they have no support, no one they can go to for support, and that might be part of the problem. But it's just to say Mikeysline is actually available to everybody in the Highlands through our text-based services 7 evenings a week. There is always support that people can access. It's just being aware of that and not holding all this on your own and letting it become a very significant issue for you that's affecting the whole way you feel about yourself, because trolling can make people lose their whole sense of confidence and self-worth. And as I say, people can lose sleep to it, can become depressed by it. So it's a very significant issue that the fact that people at trolling are anonymous is what makes it potentially so dangerous, because people feel that they won't be made accountable for their behaviour. So people can lose their inhibitions when they're talking to people, things they may say they would never say to someone face to face. And that's why it has such a significant impact, because people just do not sometimes think through what they're actually saying, what they're actually doing to the person that they're targeting. And so there's some very significant issues there, I think.
Because I'm trying to think that also sometimes from the side of the trolls as well, and the people that put out those messages, there must be some, maybe not all the time, but there must be some inherent discomfort or issues that they have, and they may actually seek help themselves for these issues.
Yes, I mean, some people, the trolling is more that they see it as chatting on a forum, or they're commenting and things like that, and they see it as a bit of a laugh and a joke, and they're not personally targeting people. But for some people, actually, they are looking for attention. They are looking to they are looking for an emotional response from someone. So that indicates themselves that someone with very little confidence, someone that feels that they have to exert power over someone else to feel better about themselves. So that in itself would indicate that they themselves may have some underlying mental health issues or issues regarding their own self-confidence and self-worth that make them feel that they should do that. So it has an impact. And also, if you're engaging in this, that kind of behavior on a long-term basis, that is going to come back and impact on yourself. Because any negative behaviors ultimately will have an impact on your own well-being.
Definitely. And I'm trying to think, it's something that sometimes we maybe relate to people that have a bit more visibility online, which may be a public figure or an influencer, but it's something that maybe can influence quite strongly, even like the average, of course, internet user.
Yeah, I think we only really hear about trolling when we hear about celebrities or someone else who's been trolled, and they talk about, and they're coming off social media, that they need to look after their mental health, that they've been bombarded by things. But the important thing is that this can happen to everybody, anyone from any walk of life. And I think that's why there isn't as wide enough awareness about it, because people don't appreciate it. It can happen to anyone, whatever age and wherever they are. And that's what has the massive impact on it. They don't have the support networks around them often to deal with it.
This is something that happens more to, I'm trying to think, maybe younger people that engage more onto in online chats, forums, that happen more to younger people than older people. Or maybe I would say maybe that younger people are more literate, let's say, about how the web maybe can be a harsh place, and maybe some older people will either be very aggressive or maybe just not quite understand the extent to which the internet can hurt as well.
Yeah, I think there's a growing trend amongst young people to engage in kind of this kind of thing on forums or with personal social media, and research has shown that the majority of young people didn't actually appreciate the impact that what they can say, the kind of comments that they make, can have on an individual. And there has been cases in the press about young people who've committed suicide as a result of being trolled online. It's in effect a very severe form of bullying, because there's no escape from it. as in it can be 24 hours a day, or the person perceives it as being 24, and it can be more and more people can get involved. And that's why it can be so extremely damaging to an individual. But yes, it's a growing thing amongst young people to use social media, comment on social media, and as we've discussed, it can just quickly get out of hand without maybe that being the original intention, as more and more people come on and start commenting.
Definitely. And what would you recommend to a young person that start to see, like, again, as you said, something that can follow you everywhere, because it's so it gets so much into your like some private aspects of your life, and sometimes it also is maybe more hurtful because maybe an abuse, it's only seen by the people that are there, whereas that is for everyone to see. So I'm trying to think, what would you recommend for someone who is experiencing that to do?
Yeah, the key thing is that a lot of young people may think they don't know who to talk to about it. Key thing is, one, report it to the social media channel that you're on, because they can often take down things if it's things that can be taken down by the social media channel itself. I would also recommend that they report it to someone else, someone they trust, family member, friend, or a support service. Also, block people. Do not worry about blocking people. Why should you let them get into your head and impact on your well-being? And for a very young person, I would also suggest that they get support from someone like Childline. They have helplines, as do lots of other organisations, where they can specifically talk through those issues with you. And services like Mikeysline can also signpost you to other services that can support. But the key thing is not to hold that all yourself, not to take that on, not to be bullied, to get support at an early stage and not let them carry on. And I think another key thing is not to engage with these people, because they're not there to discuss. They want to make an impact. They want to have an emotional impact. And it can only spiral out of control if you keep responding. It never ends if you keep responding. So it's about containing it. It's about reporting it, blocking, reporting it to somebody, getting support, and before it really starts really having an impact on you.
No, definitely. And I'm trying to think, we're talking about the younger generation, and sometimes the younger generations are sort of labeled as snowflakes, and not being able to sort of hold on to, and like not being able to withstand and bear the same amount of pressure that maybe some of the older generation were able to. But I'm trying to think, is that, what do you think about this in terms of the online abuse that some of the younger people have to face? How does that apply?
I think the younger people of today have a lot more different pressures. They have different pressures than, say, my generation did, and other generations. Is in, we didn't have social media, certainly when I was a child. I think you'd have bullies that were face to face, and they would stop after, you would go home from school, you would escape from it. But these days, online cyberbullying, it's there all the time. And young people, a lot of young people depend on their social media. It's their social outlet, especially in these times, say it's lockdown. So I think it's very, very difficult for young people, in that they have new and different challenges that technology has actually brought with it. And so in terms of their resilience, they're having to deal with different things, and they've been brought up to deal with different things. So I think it's difficult to say that they're not so resilient, because I think they face different challenges, and it can be constant and continual, and they have no respite from it if there's social media or online bullying going on.
Definitely. And what do you think about what can be done, let's say, to give the tools to young people, and not only young people, because it's not only young people that access the internet, of course, but what can be done to empower them and give people the tools to actually access the internet and in a safe way and in a way that won't harm them in this extremely like dramatic way, because some of these are just it's absolutely horrendous what it can do to some people. It's terrible. So what can be done, and is enough being done at the moment according to you?
I think the anonymity of people trolling online should not be there. I don't think people should be able to make comments anonymously. I think they should be out in the open. I also think young people, there's a lot of guidance about how to set your security settings, how to limit comments that you can have on your sites and things. And I think it's about young people being very familiar with the channels they're using, and making sure that they make them as secure as possible, and not accepting invites from people they don't like, and not like that they don't actually know, or friends. But I think it's down to knowledge about how to use the different platforms, about making yourself as secure as possible. But I actually think there needs to be wider action, which is about how people can actually do this in the first place, as in people are hiding behind their anonymity and saying whatever they want, and that just is wrong. But that's not something that young people themselves can sort out. But I think the crucial thing that young people can do at the moment is support themselves by making sure they're as secure as possible and they know the systems they're using, but also reporting, blocking, getting the support they need, not dealing with this on their own. I think that's crucial.
And do you think, like you were mentioning, lifting the anonymity that some of the trolls benefit from? But I'm thinking, do you think that online platforms are doing enough to sort of discourage, or well, not much eliminate because it's a huge job, but discourage at least these behaviors? Do you think that, or do you think that they should do more about it?
I think they should, and they could do more. I think there's a lot that still needs to be done in relation to the companies that run the social media platforms, from anything from spreading fake news to the harassment and abuse that's allowed to be done through trolling. I think there's a huge amount that needs to be done, and that the main platforms need to look at that as an action to protect people and protect people's mental health.
And I was just thinking, in terms of what type of online abuse people get faced with, that's of course something that you're aware of. Do you know what are like the most common ways that people get involved in serious cases of trolling? Like what type of comments are the ones that maybe trigger the most or are the most common?
I couldn't comment on the most common comments, but I think when it's personal, when it's actually targeting the individual, I mean, there are comments that constitute harassment and hate crime, and hate crime obviously is a criminal activity. But people do use it to be racist, to be sexist. People use it to make statements that are totally and utterly inappropriate. So I think when people target people for a specific characteristic, those ones can be the most hurtful. But anything that undermines someone's self-worth, confidence, their own characteristics, those are the ones that impact the most.
Thank you. It's not an easy question because there's such a variety of behaviors online. But I was also thinking, well, another important thing, we'll probably pop some of the ways of contacting Mikeysline on our stories and website about what's the best way to get in touch with you if someone needs your help.
Yeah, well, Mikeysline is we have a website at www.mikeysline.co.uk. We're based in Inverness, but we cover the whole of the Highlands. And we run a text-based service which includes SMS, Messenger, web chat, and Twitter. And that's available every evening of the week. So if anybody needs our support, they can contact us on that. So the best way to contact us is maybe to find us, and we're also on Facebook, and we're on the different social media platforms, so Twitter, Instagram, etc., and Facebook, and we will be going on TikTok and Snapchat to try and reach young people and more. But please do get in touch with us if there's anything that we can support you with. We are there for you, and we're there to support and signpost, listen, and support you on many different issues that you may present with.
Yeah, that's good. And it's great that you're trying to like go through so many different platforms, because there's such a wide there's quite a wide pool of users that you can reach. So
Yeah.
that's absolutely great. And also I'm trying to think, if you have maybe a parent or someone or a friend or someone around that sees that someone has been bullied, or someone that bullied online, or he's been a victim of trolling and online abuse, what would you recommend them doing? And of course, probably getting in touch, but I think that sometimes some people may find it difficult to deal with certain aspects of these situations. So what do you think it would be best to do for them if they want to help the person that is being abused?
Yeah, if they want to help the person that's been abused, support them to get support, further support, as in help them make that call, make that email to the helpline, contact Childline with them, raise it with an adult with them, just support them to get the support, because it is, as you say, very difficult for people to reach out sometimes. It takes a lot of courage sometimes to ask for help. So if anyone talks to you about that they're struggling with anything or they're being bullied, it's really important that you're supportive of them and help them through the next stage. The responsibility is not on you to sort out the issues for them, but if you can help support them to get the support they need, that is one of the biggest things that you can do.
No, definitely. So thank you very much for this. It's really interesting, and hopefully it will encourage more people to reach out if they need help. Is there anything else that you would like to add concerning trolling and online abuse that maybe I've not covered with my questions?
I don't think so. I just think that one of the main problems is that people, as I've said, don't really realize the impact that it can have sometimes. There's different forms of trolling, but when it starts taking on the form of harassment and bullying, it's really, really serious and can have significant consequences on other people's life and mental well-being. So the more that can be done to highlight just the impact of it, and measures can be put in place to reduce it and highlight to people how they can get support, the better.
No,
Thank you.
that's great. Thank you so much for your time. It's been great talking to you. And really, if you ever are in a position of being trolled or having issues, do reach out. There's gonna be people that can help you, like Mikeysline, and you're not alone.
That's great. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emily. Hope you have a great day, and thank you very much for all your work.
No, not at all. Sorry about the disruption.
It's fine. Always
Okay.
happens. It's
Yeah,
the life on Zoom right now, isn't it?
I know, I know, I know. Right, thanks very much, Frederica. Thank you. Oh, I can't hear you.